Hey, what's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I have a little bit of a different kind of video for you. I have a discussion video revolving around the current meta in Yu-Gi-Oh! And I have my friend here, Andrew. He's also going to be discussing with us today. What's up, man?
Hey guys, yeah. So this won't be a full ban list prediction video. We'll just be looking at the changes to competitive play due to the current list, and we're just going to talk about the cards that will most likely be a hit.
Basically, what we think is like really strong off of the last list and what we're going to be progressing into with the next meta is essentially what we'll be discussing. So obviously we have three cards already on the screen: Glow Up Bulb, Raigeki, and Reinforcement Army. You want to touch on Glow Up Bulb a little bit, Andrew?
All right, so yeah, Glow Up Bulb, really strong card in the Synchro era back in 2010. It's definitely still a strong card now. Unfortunately, Synchros are not the best right now. However, it is one of the strongest Synchro cards, if not the best.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to ignore Glow Up Bulb. I mean, I've lost the Glow Up Bulb many times in games, and I think is it overall it's a strong card, and it can't be
Yeah,
really
so I
ignored.
think the most relevant plays I've seen people tech it in Shaddoll's or, yeah, it's like Shaddoll's
Plants,
to get their Earth Fusion because that's honestly the best way to do it besides Super Polymerization.
yeah, plants. Obviously, it's really strong in plants. Really strong in dragons. The dragon plant synchro. Going for Quasar, super
One of my
powerful on that.
favorites.
Next card, Raigeki. Honestly, I have not seen this card main decked at all in the current meta. So
No, it's
most
in
pretty
about
much no one made it.
eight to six side decks of the last ARG
Yeah,
tournament.
it's a good side deck card. Basically, what it does is it takes down rogue decks that are played.
Any deck that was before Shaddoll's or Burning Abyss or Clifford's, maybe even Satella Knights, but all the meta decks they either main one or they side it. And if they come up with against a road deck that's not one of those four, they're just
Raigeki.
gonna shit on it with Raigeki. That's how it
Raigeki
is.
just destroys those decks. It just takes care of them.
And it doesn't work the other way around because all the monsters on that side besides the Satella Knights are floaters, which means when their monsters die, they get something back. So
Yeah.
it's not a valuable card.
Or you just can't even target it, or you just can't destroy it by card effect. So,
Effect window can't be
yeah,
destroyed.
effect window. I still wish they would have kept that name as Midrash. I don't know. I liked it.
It's whatever, man.
But
Nice card, man.
yeah, it's a good card. Reinforcement of the army. Obviously, we can talk about that a little bit. The the main
So
decks that it affected, I guess, were like ninjas, and Satella Knights. I thought, as far as that, like in Satella, it's like what the hell.
So yeah, so people are trying the ninja strategy where they get to get their Hanzo out, transform it Dark Simorgh, flip up anti-spell fragrance, screw over Clifford's, right?
Yeah,
Not very popular, but the most
it
popular
does
thing
work.
obviously is allowing Satella Knights to get their Deneb or their Altair or whatever the heck they need to get their
Altair.
tribe.
Yeah, it gives you so many options. I mean, it even works. It works incredibly well in Six Samurai. I run 3 and 6 Samurai. I think it made the deck a lot more viable. It turns that
Yeah.
like 8 cards that you have to search with into even like now you have 3 more additional cards to search with. It's a beautiful
And then
card
there is
all
some
around.
hype with somebody getting in a tournament, Six Samurai. Yeah, like reinforcing the army definitely help with that.
Shein at 2. I mean, this card would be even more valuable. So we'll
Um,
see how that goes.
yep.
Okay, next up, we got Super Polymerization. We're going to talk about this. This was hit on the previous ban list that we're going to be discussing for a little bit, first of all. Super Poly, as far as I'm concerned, I think this was the biggest hit, and honestly, I was the most sour about this when it was actually released with the ban list.
Damn
Dropping
you,
this to 1,
Shaddoll's.
yeah, I was, I was pretty sour. I think it made heroes, uh, heroes are just nowhere near as viable as they could be with 3 Super Poly. It's obviously this card is broken.
It's a little broken, I'm not gonna
Yeah,
lie. Especially with the right deck, but just like heroes where they don't care what attribute the other one is, they'll just
yeah.
make anything as long as it gets rid of your monster.
I
No
think
response.
heroes definitely hit really hard. My heroes deck is much worse. I mean, Mass Change is really good, but I feel like losing triple Super Poly was a really big hit to my deck. Yeah, it was really good. It was a really high tier deck, and then it went to 1 Super Poly, and then I was like, all right, this is nowhere near as viable as it was at first. So I think Super Poly is definitely something that changed the meta a little bit. Um, I think it's a good card. It's really broken. I don't think
It's
it'll ever be
probably
banned.
staying
It will
at
never be
where it is,
banned. It will probably
unfortunately.
stay at 1. Yeah, I don't think it'll ever go past that. Shadows or I think Shadows will stay for a very long time in Yu-Gi-Oh.
Of
So,
course.
and as long as they stay for a really long time, Super Poly will always be at 1. So,
That's a good way to look at it.
Yep, that's my explanation for this.
So the next card we're going to be looking at is Tour Guide from the Underworld. This card is seeing increasing relevance again due to Burning Abyss. It increases the speed of their deck infinitely, and honestly, it's the easiest hit that they could do to reduce the speed of the deck.
Exactly. That's what I completely agree with that. I mean, the easiest thing they could do is just drop Tour Guide back to 2. It originally was at 2. I don't know why they ever took it away from 2. I guess they thought it wasn't seeing relevance in the current meta. When I started playing the game, actually, Tour Guide into Acid Golem Creature Swap was a thing. That was what people did all the time, and that was obnoxious. So I guess they were like, you know what, let's take it off at 2 for some reason. Konami was like, we can make more money this way, and then, you know.
I mean, going back even further, like, it was Tour Guide into Sangan, like, even before XYZs were coming out, and that was a searcher into a searcher. That's some nuts stuff right there.
And that's what they're doing anyways. They're doing
getting Sangan banned. You're getting Sangan banned, but you mean to tell me now you can use Skarm to directly search for another Tour Guide?
Yeah, you can Tour Guide into another Tour Guide essentially, and you can have a Dante from it. Like, I don't know, Konami. I think this card needs to be hit. Or
I'm okay with that too.
Yeah.
That's fine with me.
Or the next
that way other decks can still play it.
Yeah, we're gonna get into our next big set of cards that we're going to be talking about in just a second. This card with the combination of the loop that we're about to show you is just so broken in the meta right now, and if you watched the finals of, it was Chicago, correct?
Yeah, ARG Chicago.
Yeah, that it was just nuts. It was 2 Burning Abyss players against each other, and this loop was just nuts. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get straight to that.
We'll put a link in the video in the bottom. Alright, so we're going to talk about 3 cards at the same time. Dante, Firelake, and Sir. This is the Burning Abyss loop, and this is what is causing me to no longer play in tournaments, because what it basically boils down to is infinite resources. So we got Dante, who brings back a card from the graveyard when he is sent to the graveyard. You got Firelake, that sends things to the graveyard in order to blow up cards. And we have Sir, that brings back a Burning Abyss monster when it dies. So, we have Sir bringing back Dante to destroy Firelake, to bring back Firelake, and for Sir under Dante to bring back Dante. Let's see if that's fair.
I think you kind of said it perfectly. This loop is beautiful and horrible at the same time. It's kind of like a Yu-Gi-Oh player's nightmare, especially at like tournaments. It's really obnoxious. You don't want to face this.
There are Burning Abyss mirrors where each player has 0 cards in the hand, but they're just looping these 3 cards over and over until someone fucks up.
It's kind of ridiculous. I don't know. I haven't even faced this deck that many times, and it's just, the loop seems ridiculous. I've been watching it in finals videos. I don't know. Personally, this is not a loop I would want to face in Yu-Gi-Oh! I think it's kind of obnoxious. I think this even takes the cake over Shaddolls for me. I think Shaddolls are pretty obnoxious, but Dante and Firelake and Sarah are just too powerful in my opinion.
Quentin, in your opinion, if you wanted to just get rid of this loop, which piece of it would you hit? In my opinion, it would be Dante.
Yeah, Dante would be the first thing.
Because he's the one that returns the cards.
But the only issue I have with that is since Dante is pretty much the boss monster of the deck, I don't know how exactly they would hit it. Firelake, they could always hit Firelake and put it at 1, but that doesn't necessarily get rid of the loop.
Because they can always add it back.
They can always add it back.
It is a lot less consistent, however, they can always add it back.
Yeah, and
so it will turn into whoever gets Burning Abyss first, the Firelake wins.
It's true. I mean, I don't think Firelake is going to be banned. I don't, honestly. I think Dante could be limited and Firelake could be limited, and that would... Not necessarily Dante. I think Dante should be at least 2. So, and Firelake being limited to 1, I think we could see that. It could be very possible.
Yeah.
So,
we'll have
Konami has done it before where they created a loop and they didn't realize it. So, let's see how it plays out. We're going to have to see the list, really. It seems like a different person does the list every time and they just, like, make things up as it goes along. So, we'll just see. So... yeah, that's all I really have to say about that loop. It's a great loop, guys. If you want to try a really fantastic loop, just look up the finals video. You can. Yeah, look up the finals video that we're going to put on the bottom in the description, and you guys will be like, whoa, okay. All right. So that happens. All right, guys, here we go. On our next card, we got Vanity's Emptiness. Whoop. Triple Vanity's Emptiness. Let me just tell you, this is probably one of the most broken cards that's ever been in a, like, format. ever, in my opinion. I cannot tell you how much I love this card being a 3. I know it's gonna go down either to 1 or maybe even completely banned. I don't know. Konami could just really hate this card, and we don't know yet. I think me and Andrew here, we're pretty much agreeing on it going to 1.
I'm so done with this card as far as being consistent at 3. I've many times MST'd that emptiness because it's fair in that sense. If you MST the emptiness or something else, then it's completely fair. But
Yeah.
they flip the other one. What are you gonna do now?
You know, I have won so many games because of this card. So many, I can't even tell you.
I refuse to run it while it's at 3.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many decks that just lose to this card completely, like Geargia. Like, what? Okay.
Yanzing.
they lose the game.
Bye.
Yanzing, lose the game. Okay.
Yep.
It's such a broken card, and I think with Soul Drain, too, like, this card counters... The reason I like this card so much is because it counters Burning Abyss. It counters Burning Abyss, it counters... You know, it counters Yanzing, it counters... With Soul Drain, this card just destroys Burning Abyss.
Unlike a lot of like staple traps, this is a floodgate, which means
Yeah.
for most purposes it's gonna stay on the board, unlike bottomless or solemn. So in addition to stopping that one summon, and if it stays up, like you stopped your opponent for the rest of the game.
Yeah, it's basically, I played this a lot in Fire Fist. I set up a super large board, just a bunch of beaters, and then I'm like, vanities. And they just, I win the game. They either surrender or they just sit there and let me beat them down because they can't do anything about it.
The last thing I'm going to talk about is the Royal Oppression versus Vanity's Emptiness. Here's my argument as to why Vanity's Emptiness is better than Royal Oppression, just for this one reason, is that you can turn off your own vanities by
Exactly.
sending something to the graveyard.
Exactly. I do like it for that aspect, especially when you might actually be getting screwed over yourself by having vanities. So sometimes
Yeah,
you need to be able
even
to get
Trap
rid of
Stud,
it.
like
Yeah.
it's one-sided. That's all I have to say about it.
Yeah, that's what I like about it. I think it's a fair card in the sense of how it's worded, but I think as of right now, having it at 3 is just way too broken.
Too consistent.
It's too consistent, it's too good, it's broken. It's gonna get dropped to 1 or it's gonna be banned, guys. It's gonna happen. I'm sorry to all you guys that love it just as much as I do, but it's gonna happen. So
Get rid of them now.
yep. Next, we're actually gonna talk about the cards that we are predicting are gonna have changes. So these are predictions. These are not what's actually going to happen in the future. So don't expect it, you know, like don't be like, oh, well, these guys talked about this, so this is probably going to happen. We're not Konami employees, so we can't, you know, predict, like, we can't make actual predictions towards stuff. So that's going to be what's in the next part. Let's get into that. So guys, here we go with the next part of this discussion. We're going to be talking about Stratos, Torrential Tribute, and Dragon Ravine. Starting off with Stratos, Andrew, just go ahead, lay it out.
Alright, so I know you fanboys really like this card. I personally don't think the deck even needs it at this point. I can see Konami putting it back to 1 just because their deck list in the OCG has 1 Stratos in it, and they might be too lazy to remove it.
Exactly. Yeah. That's the founding reason. I know a couple of YouTubers that do Yu-Gi-Oh as well are saying because of the starter pack that's coming out and they're gonna release it with that. I mean, we can say that, but is that for sure? Probably not. But I do think this card is not as relevant as it used to be, and the card that it looped with is banned. So
Divine Wind, right?
yeah,
And all the others.
It's banned. So what is the problem with bringing back Stratos? I can
Yeah.
understand why fanboys are a little outraged though. There
Yeah,
is no
I mean,
reason for this card to be banned.
Well, yeah, I mean, let's check this out. Check this out. So we got 3 Rhoda. We got 3 E-Call. 3 Hero Lives. So, do you want Stratos to come back and limit some of those cards again? Because, I mean, I'm not sure if that would happen. But at the same time, it's like, you guys have enough. Like, you got Shadow Mist coming up.
It's
It's gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine.
Heroes never have enough, Andrew. That's where you're wrong. That's where you're wrong.
Alright.
We'll just get in. We'll get into Torrential. So Torrential Tribute. This was something we both agreed on. We both agreed that this card should come back to 2, both of us. And the reason being is because it doesn't affect decks like it used to, guys. This is a beautiful card to run in like Shadows. And you don't care if your stuff gets destroyed, right? So
Nope.
there's a bunch of decks that this card is absolutely beautiful in, and there's no reason for it not to go back to 2. How many decks is it actually really affecting?
It definitely helps some of the destruction happy decks. Let's say Fire Kings or Yanzing.
Yeah.
Anything that likes to go off of that, like they could use the extra support. Honestly, It,
I mean,
it's
Fire
great.
decks could come back with this card. Like, there's a couple, Fire Kings is really good, and it can't stay alive against the newer decks just because it doesn't have enough destruction tech. So, I think 2 Torrentials, maybe we'd see some Fire Kings players coming out of the caves.
So yeah, summary: it'll boost some decks that need some help, and it wouldn't affect the decks that are doing well right now.
So why not put it at 2, Mirror Force is at 3, why not? Do we really care anymore?
So the next card we're going to talk about is Dragon Ravine. I used to own a Dragoonity deck, and I was hurt by this personally, but even more so Quentin. So
Yeah.
take it away.
I have tried, guys, multiple times to make a Dragoonity deck after Dragon Ravine got banned.
work.
It does not work. It really is almost impossible. It's Dragoonities are so good in my opinion. I love Dragoonities, and then they were like Dragon Rulers came and just ruined everything I had that was happy and fun, and they
Just like this format.
yeah, and I don't know what to do without Dragon Ravine. And the worst part is they're releasing support. So if they don't bring me back Dragon Ravine, I'm just I'll run Terraform. I'll do it.
It's gonna
I'll
be
run
like
Terraform.
when they reprinted Vajrayana, so it's like $2, and then they banned Dragon Ravine.
Yeah, we both. So me and Andrew have both played Dragoonities. We both love Dragoonities, and we're sitting here and we're like, why is this card still banned? Dragon Rulers are not a big deal in the format anymore.
I have a Dragon Ruler deck, and I would add one Ravine in my deck,
Yeah.
but it would not help me beat any of the decks right now.
It would not. It absolutely would not. Dragon Rulers they have been limited so badly that they're almost
They are
dead.
officially a has-been.
Yeah, they're
As
not a good deck
of
anymore.
the deck.
Konami released that deck and then they made it all super cheap and they made it budget and then they were like, okay, we killed our own deck, cool. So
On to the next one.
bring this card back. Bring it back. Konami, if you can hear me, bring back Dragon Ravine. Just do it. We need
I'm
it.
with this one.
Dragoonity players need it. We need it back. If you're gonna give us support, bring us back the card that made Dragoonity so strong. And I'm not saying, you don't have to bring it back to 3. You can put it at 1 or 2. I would
1 or
love to
2.
have 2.
That's all I
would
need.
love to have 2 because I'd run 2 terraforming with it and that'd be
Oh, yeah.
perfect. But 1 or 2, Konami, if you can hear me, just go ahead. Give it back to me. So that's going to be it for the discussion, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you guys got some good knowledge.
Loads of fun for me.
Yeah, this was going to be our discussion video on what we thought was going to happen. This is our pre-discussion video to the list. As soon as the list is officially released, we'll be talking about our predictions for how it's going to affect the meta of the next format. So that will be occurring as soon as the list's out. I plan on having a video, that day. If not,
Don't forget to check out our other Yu-Gi-Oh videos.
Yeah, definitely check out our Tactical series. That will be continuing for years, probably. We both love Yu-Gi-Oh! We've been playing for years. We're definitely going to be trying to get some actual physical gameplay of like us playing in tournaments and you guys can watch us play. So I hope you guys enjoy the videos. Peace out, guys.
See you later.